Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to pre-market update. You can see massive sell-off yesterday on all equity market. You can see S&P 500, Nasdaq, even Bitcoin. You can see here massive sell-off, and now we're already bouncing. You can see here we went below third standard deviation, and then from there to the top, we already bounced 5% on Bitcoin. Here is Ethereum. You can see Ethereum from here to the top. We already bounced 7% here. Nasdaq, you can see here, same thing here, fell below third standard deviation, massive sell-off due to NVDA. Already bounced 3% here. S&P 500 also bounced from there to the top around 2%. So we'll see and we will review how far this sell-off could go, or is this the bottom. You can see some of the chip stocks are already up more than 3%, which these are most of these was sold off heavily. Let's go and see what's the future and where we can go from here. Please hit the like button, guys. Only takes 1 second to hit the thumbs up button. I will really appreciate that. And this is our guide on S&P 500. You can see RSI is still did not touch the green bottom line. So I think there are two possible scenarios. We can either still go from here to go top to this 6354. This is US 500. So from here, there's still possibility from here to the spring, we can go to around 5.5% up, or inversely from here, we can go to the bottom, which is around 54.88. So from here, it's also possible we could go down to around 9% dump. So anyhow, whichever way we go, we have to keep an eye. If we go very close to the top red line, that's an area to short. If we go close to green line on RSI, that's an area to buy. You can see time and time again. Here we call the top perfectly here. Here also the top was called and then we had a massive decline. So we had to keep an eye on both scenarios. In the middle, we kind of do nothing. So right now we are sitting in the middle. And let's go to daily chart on SPX and let's see how things are going there. You can see this is SPX had a massive gap down. Okay, so yesterday we had a massive gap down. This gap will 100% will be filled. We just don't know when. You can see 1 hour chart on S&P 500. This gap is still not filled. This gap up happened on this day, which is 17th of January, Friday. Still did not fully fill this gap. So where we go from here, there are two scenarios, and you can see cycle is saying there's still some weakness coming along. So either we're gonna go from here, we will bounce. We'll bounce from here, fill this gap, and then come back down later on, or we can just go down straightly, like from here, start to fill this gap, and then make a lower high, lows, and then try to fill this massive gap you can see here. So regardless of which way we go, just remember there's a big gap here to complete. Okay, so sell the bounce. Okay, if we get a rip or to fill this top gap, sell the bounce. Let's go to NDX, same scenario here. Massive gap down. Now NDX has a bigger election gap which is not filled here. All of the indices, including Nasdaq and Bitcoin, still did not fill. So same scenario here. What are the possibilities on Nasdaq? A bounce to basically fill this gap and then go lower, or we're gonna go straight down, fill up, and then go lower. I think at some point we should come and fill this election gap. Earning seasons this week. Some of the big companies are introducing earnings. We'll quickly take a look in a bit, and that could drive the market. So let's wait for this earning seasons to be over to see where the market will go. But maybe it will hold here until earnings are gone. So we'll see how things shape up. And these are live futures. You can see S&P 500, uh, nice dump, and then above all moving averages, nice pickup from buyers stepped in. And right now, indecision candle. Nasdaq, same thing here, went lower and then again just holding here above all moving averages. Dow Jones also getting a 9 count sell signal here. So let's look at DIA ETF, which was green, only index which was green. Nice pump mainly because of healthcare stocks. You can see all these healthcare stocks were pumping. You can see UNH had a nice pump, gap up here. Lilly had a nice gap up, and then Johnson and Johnson also had a nice pump. So all healthcare stocks helped Dow Jones to go higher, but it created a gap. So it went on a gap, and this big gap is still not filled. So we'll see how that comes up. And IWM also, actually this gap is filled, so I have to delete this, but there's also this big gap which is left. So a gap up, gap down, we'll see how it goes. IWM right now a little weaker. So I do expect Russell 2000 to go lower and fill this gap at some point, and then it will decide which way it wants to go. In terms of Bitcoin, you can see here, nice wick here. People bought as soon as it dropped around 98K, people bought it, but also getting a 9 count sell signal a couple of days ago. And whenever we get a sell signal, sometimes it declines a bit and sometimes it goes lower, but we'll see how it comes up. But there's a big divergence, new high with divergence in PPNR. So it is telling me that it will at some point go lower to test this support again. And if that breaks, it's going to go lower to fill this pre-election gap. Okay, this is elections gap up 77K. It will definitely be filled. I just don't know when. It will 100% be filled at some point. Ethereum weaker, holding support on this 200 EMA SMA. ETH gaps, all these yellow lines are top gaps to fill and green line is bottom gap to fill. So many top gaps and one bottom gap. Ethereum is very weak compared to Bitcoin. People are questioning what's going on, but anyhow, that's how it is. It's nobody knows who's controlling this. US oil finally getting a 8 counts buy signal and then trying to recover, had a sell off. It was trying to hold this 200 EMA SMA but got a bit deeper pullback and then now found support on this yellow line, which is 50 simple moving average. So you can see it's now trying to bounce from 7 and 8, getting an 8 counts buy signal, and usually it can bounce around 7, 8, 9. So we'll see if we get continued bounce. CNQ also lower yesterday with a gap down. Let's see if today they can fill that gap, and then perhaps more gaps to follow on the top side. Let's keep moving. Toronto Stock Exchange little weaker with little bit of gaps. So they're getting an 8 count sell signal. Let's see if it's going to go lower or fill top gaps. China was very bullish yesterday due to this DeepSeek innovation, OpenAI, which is very cheap, and now holding nicely, going higher. Got a 9 count sell signal yesterday, but there's a big resistance here, to be honest. You can see, I don't think it's going to be easy for it to pass. If it fails here, these green lines are the gaps to fill. Bond market also sitting right on this resistance area, this whole box, not able to close above that. So maybe it will flag a bit, make an inverse head and shoulder, and then break out. So we'll see TLT will also do the same thing. Just remember there's some gaps. Yesterday also was a gap up. They could bring it back to fill this gap before they can bounce. So keep that in mind. Natural gas, I was saying weakness from now until Feb and March. That's what's exactly happening. So you can see from top to bottom, natural gas is already down like 20%. So looking for this gap to fill 3.375, and then we'll see if this is going to come further lower or that's it. Right now sitting on this 50 EMA SMA support. Gold, little weakness yesterday, but not much. Holding this green line, which is 10 moving average, just holding it there. Silver also had little weakness on this 200 EMA support and SMA support, and now trying to bounce from here. Copper also on this 200 EMA blue line and trying to bounce from here. Sugar was very good, came to this buy zone and then bouncing. I was saying you should be buying sugar here, and we got a 9 counts buy signal and just going high. Looks like bottom is in. Wheat, wait for wheat to close above actually this blue lines, and then corn is by the dip. Very, very good here. Dollar was little weaker, getting a 9 count spy signal in this nice green box, support box, came here. This could be it, and this could be heading higher. So let's see if dollar bounces from here. Weakness could be coming to an end. In terms of FANG stock, Apple had a very bullish day yesterday, bouncing from this 200 EMA support. So you can see every time it comes to 200 EMA SMA, it usually bounces. So extreme good bounce. There are a lot of gaps to fill. So let's see if they now try to fill these gaps first, or they will bring it down. Apple earnings is on 30th of Jan, which is next week. All the other FANG stocks have earnings this week. Wednesday is Facebook, already at new all-time high. We'll see what they do. Netflix is already done. Amazon earnings is a bit far away, 6th of February. Google earnings is also a little bit away, 4th of February. And then Microsoft is also earnings is tomorrow. So a lot of unknown answers could be provided. CrowdStrike, NVDA had a massive, came near 200 EMA and now they're already buying it. Okay, so you can see pre-market is up 3%. So they could bounce from here because usually whenever it hits 200 EMA SMA, it bounces. So maybe it's trying to bounce from here. We'll see. AVGO, still this big gap is not filled. They could try to fill this gap. NVDA, I think they could fail. They could, like, a bounce could fail, okay? And there are gaps around 88K, so just keep that in mind. Same thing with AVGO, a bounce could fail, a gap up, a gap down, right now in the middle. We don't know where it will go. Tesla holding this 250 SMA support, you have a red line, but I think it's going to fail and come to this 300, 320, 330 area. And eventually there are two big gaps here. There's a big gap here, big gap here. So at some point these should be filled. So we'll see. AMD was pretty weak, new lows with some divergence, multiple gaps to fill. Maybe it's waiting for earnings to decide next step. And all other chip stocks sold pretty heavily. Looks like Micron, you can see massive gap down. Qualcomm had little sell-off, and Intel also trying to fill this gap, and SMCI also multiple gaps here. What else is here interesting? Uh, Nothing much interesting, so I will skip. Uh, and Let's quickly wrap up with the VIX. We'll see how VIX is doing. You can see VIX massive gap up and another gap here around 27.64. So we'll say which way VIX will go. Is it going to bounce here and then fill this 27 gap, or is it going to fill this bottom gap? So we'll know soon. Depends on stock market. We'll follow. All right, guys, that's it for today. Hit the like button on your way out, and if you have any particular stocks you want me to review, put a comment. Talk to you later. Bye.